Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 1:31. I'm going to call the meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority to order. Madam Clerk, if you could go ahead and take the roll call, please.
Good afternoon, Directors Frost, Gatewood, Guetta, Hanson,
Could folks please take a look at your phones, make sure you're on mute? Thank you.
Hanson, Harris, Howe, Hume, Kennedy, Miller, Natoli, Peters, Sandhu, Steinberg, Chenier, thank you, Chenier, Cerna, and Director Suen.
Here.
Thank you, you have a quorum.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Is Mr. Hanson here? Steve Hanson? Okay.
Great.
Okay.
We're missing Gara. I think that Gara's the only one we're missing.
That's right.
Okay. If we can go ahead and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance where you are. Hand over heart, ready, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Well, here we are still in the new normal. I hope everybody is staying healthy and safe. I'm going to go ahead and move to our comments for matters not on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up to speak or calling in?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Excuse me, before I do that, I'm going to go into our announcements. I apologize. In compliance with the directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, this meeting is live streamed and closed to the public. Temporary procedures are subject to change pursuant to guidelines related to social distancing and minimizing person-to-person contact. Members of the public are encouraged to submit public comments electronically. Public comments will be distributed to members of the board and filed in the meeting record. Public comments may be related to a specific agenda item number or for a matter that is not posted on the agenda, referred to as an off-agenda item. And Madam Clerk, would you please read how to make a comment or to view the meeting?
How to make a public comment, if you email the board clerk at saccounty.net, include the agenda item number, and it's optional to include first and last name. To view the meeting, this meeting of the Sacramento Transportation Authority is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14 and the local government affairs channel on the Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and the AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting will be rebroadcasted this Friday at 6 p.m. at metro14live.saccounty.net.
Right. Thank you. Since that time, do we have anybody else who wants to comment on matters not on the agenda?
I have none.
Nobody? Okay. Thank you. Moving into the Executive Director's report. Mr. Kempton.
Mr. Chair, members, we have a very heavy agenda today, so I want to move quickly on some of the less critical items. I do want to let you know that the California Transportation Commission has conducted 2 recent meetings by teleconference. They have approved final application and programming schedules for several state programs, including the local partnership solutions for congested corridors, the trade corridor enhancement and active transportation programs, and for the local partnership program, which we're going to be dealing with under 2 of the items on today's agenda. The deadline for submittal of applications to the CTC on the formulaic portion of the local partnership program is June 12th. And the deadline for submittal of the competitive program applications has been moved back to June 30th. even with the extension of the schedule, that's still a very abbreviated timeline, and our nominating agencies, implementing agencies are scrambling to put together the significant amount of information that the Commission requires for submittal of these applications. Staff has been working with local recipient agencies on the development of those applications. The authority is being asked at today's meeting to approve the formula shares distribution and project selections for the LPP, Local Partnership Program Formulaic Program, and there will also be presentations later in the meeting from project sponsors who are seeking funding through the competitive program. And as I said, the deadline for those applications is June 12th and June 30th, respectively. I want to talk a little bit about some of the messages that have come out of the CTC with respect to the impacts of COVID-19 on transportation. Just to let you know, transit ridership is down significantly, 70 to 90% across the state, with about $2 billion in lost fare box revenue statewide. An example of one facility that we're all familiar with, traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge is down 70%, and traffic on BART has, ridership on BART is down about 92%. Overall, there's been a 35% decrease in traffic in California, but a spike in speeding. Aviation has also been hit hard in the intercity rail industry, including the Capital Corridor and the San Joaquin service, which serve Sacramento, and the Alameda Commuter Express, have seen a very significant 97% drop in some markets. We know there will be longer-term financial challenges with a hit on fuel taxes and transportation sales tax, but state transportation revenues, according to the CFO who made a presentation to the Commission yesterday, they expect to lose $1.5 billion over 2 years. And are looking for a federal infrastructure stimulus package to help, because they see that stimulus package as a proven facilitator of economic growth, and that's a quote from the Caltrans Chief Financial Officer. So talking about economic stimulus, as we discussed at our last meeting, the authority is working with the other stakeholders in the county to talk about putting together a joint effort to provide a stimulus package that would help with creating jobs in an early time frame, hopefully, and also bringing improvements to the system, which also have a positive impact on the economy. Final item, Mr. Chairman, for this particular report is that given the county's budget deliberations, the authority has a scheduled meeting in June for the 11th. It may have to be moved depending on whether the county goes forward with budget deliberations. I was been informed by the clerk's office that that doesn't appear that there will be a conflict, but because we have pressing business for the authority to consider in June, staff may be recommending moving the meeting to June 18th. So I've worked out in the later in the agenda is you providing me the authority to make that change if it becomes necessary and the county does need these chambers for budget deliberations. That completes my report, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, appreciate that. Any questions for Mr. Kempton? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move to our consent calendar. Madam Chair, Clerk, would you please read the consent items?
Your next items, your consent items 3 through 9 are in order for your approval.
Thank you.
Move consent.
Okay, before I move, I heard a motion to move. I just want to make sure there's no questions about it. Okay, I have a motion to approve consent calendar. Seconded by is that Harris? All right, seconded by Director Harris. And roll call vote, please.
Absolutely. Frost? Gatewood? Gatewood? Guerra? Hanson? Harris? Howe? Hume? Kennedy? Miller? Natoli? Peters?
Aye.
Sandhu? Chenier? Cerna? Steinberg? And Suen.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to separate items. I'm going to ensure we have the maximum participation for this item. I'm going to move Chair's prerogative. I'm going to move item 11 ahead of item 10. Adoption of the ordinance number STA 20-001 and approve of request to the Board of Supervisors to place the measure on the November ballot. Mr. Kempton, do you have any words leading in?
I just have some brief comments, Mr. Chairman and members. On March 18th, the authority tentatively adopted the 2020 Measure A Transportation Expenditure Plan for a proposed transportation sales tax measure to be placed on the November 2020 ballot for consideration by the voters in Sacramento County. Public Utilities Code Section 180206 requires that the Board of Supervisors and the City Councils representing both a majority of the cities in the county and a majority of the population residing in the incorporated areas of the county approve the tentative transportation expenditure plan prior to adoption of the ordinance governing the measure. The executive director has participated in city council meetings for all of the cities and a board of supervisors meeting during the months of March and April and obtained the needed approvals. And I have provided you with an attachment that shows that all of the jurisdictions did vote to approve the transportation expenditure plan. At the April 9th meeting, the authority voted to introduce ordinance number STA 20-001, and the PUC process has now been completed with all cities and the Board of Supervisors approving the plan. Staff recommends that the authority adopt the attached final ordinance number STA 20-001, including the 2020 Measure A Transportation Expenditure Plan, and approve a request to the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors for certification of the ordinance for the November ballot.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kempton. Could I also make a request that if you give a brief summary, a couple things. One, there was actually several comments that were submitted. I think the last tally that I have here, about 757 from the public that have been all distributed to the board members. They all, and it's in the record. And but if you could provide a summary of those, and then secondly, there's an item dealing with we were able to receive an economic impact summary on this measure. If you could talk a little bit about that. Yeah.
No, the date is correct, Member Howell. We had a meeting scheduled for the 12th of March, which we came. This was, I think you're talking about the meeting on the 12th versus the 18th of March.
June.
No, I think she's
talking about March?
She's
Okay.
talking about the March
All right,
meeting.
the dates are the same, I guess.
So
Okay.
that meeting originally was scheduled for March 12th, and that's the meeting that got canceled, and we moved it to the following week and held the March meeting on the 18th.
Okay. Hold on. Wait. Yeah, hold on, Director Frost. I'd like Mr. Kempton to answer the couple questions that I have first, please, and then I'm going to go to questions to the board members. Go ahead.
Well, I offered to help the clerk's office in terms of tallying the numbers of comments from the public and tracking the support, oppose, and neutral. I read these comments in any event. I read every one of them, and so I kept track of the numbers through the 10th set, which was as of 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon. And there have been some additional comments that have come in since then. But as of 3 p.m. Yesterday, there were 662 total comments that were received, 584 in opposition, 57 in support, and 16 neutral. If a message was not received or there was just a blank page, I put that into the neutral column. And there were 5 duplicates, and the duplicates were not necessarily double, comments from people that wanted to send two separate messages. If I noted a duplicate comment, I identified that as well. So 5 duplicates, 57 support, 584 oppose, and 16 neutral as of 3 p.m. tomorrow. And I don't know if the clerk has any update on that.
It was just handed a stack. There's 757 total now.
757 total. I don't know if they've been broken down in terms of support and opposed, but
There's a general theme, though, too, right?
Well, from my observation, I think there were obviously a great number of folks that voted to oppose the measure, did so on the basis of no new taxes, no new taxation. But I think there was also a significant amount who said now is not the time. Mm-hmm. And so I think those were the two most significant portions of the opposition group. And there were obviously other concerns as well. Don't invest in public transit and a variety of smaller amounts. But I think that's a fairly accurate review of the situation. And then you wanted me to talk about the fact that Sacramento RT has engaged the University of the Pacific Center for Business and Policy Research to do an analysis of the economic benefits of the proposed Measure A transportation sales tax. They have provided a summary which has been made available. We just got it, and so it was sent out prior to the meeting to the members and to the public. There's a summary table of total economic impacts for the 40 years of the program from 2021 to 2061. Some summary information. The University economic folks tell us that they expect the measure would leverage an additional $13.1 billion in state and federal matching funds over the life of the program. It would inject $500 million per year into the county's economy. It would support 132,000 direct and indirect jobs. It would create an average of 3,300 jobs annually, primarily in construction, transportation services, and other sectors, and would generate about $7.5 billion in labor income. We've asked for additional information, those of us that have been advising RT and the consultant relative to what might happen if we were able to accelerate project delivery, bring projects forward, and get them out earlier in the program. We obviously expect a positive response from that in terms of the increase early on in jobs and economic benefit.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, I'm going to go to any questions from the board members, and I heard Director Frost had a question. Thank you, Director Frost. I think just a minute, please. I think you got right at it when you said we only have an hour. That's our limiting factor. And to be pragmatic, we're all dealing in this current environment. We're all having to adjust the way we do things, our public meetings. I'm talking to you in the sky right now. But I do believe that the tally that was just provided by Mr. Kempton here, and there's an overwhelming sentiment, I believe, from these, that I don't think that the public is not being heard. And they are, again, all these emails are in the record, and they are distributed to all the board members. Every single one of us have it. I've gone through all the ones that I could myself before I had to come here. And so I also sense the similar sentiment from at least these people that have spoke. There's 1.5 million residents in this county approximately, and this percentage of those are voters. So we've heard from 757 thus far. So I understand your question. I understand your question, Director Frost. We're just trying to manage with the time that we have, but also provide the public its due process. And I believe we've done that. Director Hansen, did I hear you? I understand there's another meeting right at the back end of this, but
Yes, Mr. Chair, we clearly made it very clear to the clerk's office that this could be a long meeting. We've been asked to vacate as quickly as we can, but there is no hour limitation.
And which meeting is after this?
I don't know.
The what?
Sacramento Waste Authority.
Solid Waste Authority? That's a county meeting, correct? Okay. So, yeah, the Board of Director Frost, I know you know this. It's the Board of Supervisors.
And the City of Sacramento.
And the City of Sacramento. Okay. So that is our time constraint. Are there any other questions from? Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, I want to go out to further public comment. Are there anybody that's called in or waiting to speak?
No, I just checked the inbox. No, there's nothing as of now.
Okay. All right. So then I'm going to bring it back to the board for any action at this time. There's a motion or deliberation.
Peters will move to adopt the final ordinance, including the 2020 Measure A Transportation Expenditure Plan, and approve the request to the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors for certification of the ordinance on the November ballot.
Okay, I have a motion. Oh, sorry. All right, everybody, one at a time. Who did I hear a second? Yes, who is that? Please identify. Yes, Director Harris. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to actually, before you comment, Director Harris, I'm sorry. Before you comment, I just want, was that second from? I heard several voices. Director Howell, okay, thank you. Okay. Yes, Director Harris. Thank you, Director Harris. Yes, Director Chenier. Thank you, Director Chenier. Yes, Supervisor Director Natoli, go ahead. Thank you, Vice Chair Natoli. Director Guerra. Thank you, Director Guerra. Yeah. Okay, Director Frost, go ahead.
Well, it'll come back to where you live.
Thank you, Director Frost. Yeah. Yes, go ahead, Director Steinberg. Thank you, Director Steinberg. I would just like to, forgive me, Director Frost. I think I've been pretty accommodating, and I do so because I recognize the contention of this issue, but I will have to say everybody's had their chance, or those that have wanted a chance have had their chance. So I'd like to exercise chair prerogative and I'm going to take one more comment here and call for the roll call vote. I think all the viewpoints have been expressed very well, but I would say that I appreciate the comments that were made that did come in. As I indicated earlier, this is a portion of the 1.5 million people that we have out there. And the folks that submitted their comments, if this passes, will have an opportunity to exercise their voice again at the ballot box. At this time, this board and the staff and a lot of stakeholders, partners, put in time and energy to reach agreement among us board members, our partner agencies, our public works directors, to get to even something that all of us, this board, could feel comfortable, if it passes, to put forth to voters for a decision, and they would have their final say. The crystal ball is not clear in terms of, I would question the certainty of whether it would fail or not. I think we don't know what will happen. We will seek further data with polling before the final decision is put forth by the Board of Supervisors. So there is a final chance, we think, to examine this going forward. And I would say we've been talking about this in the form of a tax measure, but more than ever, as was mentioned earlier, the need for economic stimulus. And whether it's the federal government, the state government, they're all looking for ways to stimulate the economy. You've got federal bills that are coming forward. The state legislature is trying to put forth something. We have a chance right now to put forth something to the voters that is local, that we control, that stays local, that can leverage state and federal dollars, and that we could pull forward by bonding capacity. We could pull forward to exercise and implement projects, as Director Kempton indicated earlier, right away. I can't think of any better way to inject from a financial tool perspective that we have available to us. There's no better way for us to get jobs and people to work immediately. And given the state's deferral of sales tax revenues all next year, you're doing it without hindering businesses, and you're doing it without further. You're bonding against future revenue. You're not going further into debt. So I think there is an opportunity that's worth discussing with the public and getting their thoughts at the ballot box at that time. So with that, we have a motion from Director Peters and a second from, I believe it was Director Howell. And Madam Clerk, if you could please take the roll. Thank you.
Directors Frost, Gatewood, Guerra, Hanson, Harris, Howell, Hume, Kennedy, Miller, Natoli, Peters,
Aye.
Santu, Mr. Santu, Chenier, Cerna, Steinberg, Suen.
Aye.
And your motion passes with Frost, Gatewood, Hume, Miller, and Santu voting no.
Okay, thank you. Next item.
Your next item is your Sacramento Transportation Authority final budget for fiscal year 21.
Hi, Tim.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Today marks the culmination of many months of work preparing STA's budget for fiscal year 2021. The budget before you today is based on pre-pandemic revenue projections that were developed in February of this year. We chose to use the most conservative of the three scenarios provided, but we know now these projections are not realistic. As such, the revenues included in this budget are effectively placeholders until we have more information to develop better projections. We plan to begin that process of updating them in August, which will most certainly result in an amended budget. Although we do not currently know the impact of the pandemic on our sales tax revenue, California's revised budget was released today and gives some insight as to what we might expect. The state is expecting a decrease of about 20% in sales tax receipts, so it makes sense that the STA should be expecting a decrease of similar magnitude. In April, staff presented a draft of the budget before you today. Since that time, the only material change was to the capital program. The County of Sacramento reduced its funding request to $9.75 million from $14.5 million for the 8 projects it currently has under contract with the STA. This reduction in appropriations of $4.75 million increased the budget year ending fund balance by the same amount. All capital program expenditures planned during the budget year will be funded with cash already on hand and therefore will not be impacted by the decrease in sales tax revenue. This concludes my presentation on STA's final budget for fiscal year 2021. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions.
Thank you, Tim. Are there any questions for Tim? Sorry. Again, please, could you please identify yourself before you? Okay, I heard a motion from Director Harris and a seconded by Director Chenier. Roll call vote, please. Any other, I'm sorry. Are there other comments or discussion? Madam Clerk, are there any comments from the public? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Seeing no comments from the public and hearing none from the board, please roll call vote.
Frost, Gatewood, Guerra, Hanson, Harris, Howell, Hume, Kennedy, Miller, Natoli, Peters,
Aye.
Sandhu, Chenier, Cerna, Steinberg, and Mr. Suen.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Your motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 12, Senate Bill 1, Cycle 3 Local Partnership Program, Formula Shares Distribution and Proposed Project for Funding. Director Kempton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, Senate Bill 1, the Road Maintenance and Repair Act of 2017 establishes the local partnership program to reward those counties, cities, districts, and regional transportation agencies in which voters have approved fees or taxes dedicated solely to transportation improvements or that have imposed fees dedicated for the same purpose. Statewide, $200 million in SB1 revenue is made available annually to these entities in two components, a formulaic and a competitive program. At its meeting on March 25th, 26th, as I previously advised you, the CTC established a schedule for the third cycle, and for the Formula Share program, the applications are due June 12th. Sacramento County's funding share for the formulaic program for the 3-year period for this cycle is $8.79 million based on comparative revenue, production, and population. On April 14th, the Professional Advisory Group met and approved a recommended distribution of the Cycle 3 formula shares among Sacramento County, the cities, and Sacramento Regional Transit for your consideration. Under this distribution proposal, Regional Transit receives $1.6 million, which is about 18.2% of the total of the Cycle 3 funding, which again matches the amount, very closely matches the amount that RT received in the first cycle. The remainder is divided among the county and the cities using the Measure A formula of 75% by population and 25% by road lane miles. And I must say, this process went quite smoothly. I think everybody was comfortable and supportive of that split of revenues. The projects that have been selected for your consideration, Regional Transit is requesting an allocation of $1.6 million for light rail modernization on the Gold Line. Citrus Heights has asked for $380,000 in a shared roadway agreement with Sacramento County for improvements to Madison Avenue. Elk Grove is requesting $790,000 for a pavement slurry seal and resurfacing program citywide. Folsom has asked for $380,000 for the Natoma Street drainage in Folsom. Galt has requested $119,000 for pavement rehabilitation citywide. The City of Isleton, we're working with the county on a potential exchange with the county, trading the local partnership program allocation for Measure A funds, existing Measure A funds. Rancho Cordova has asked for $366,000 for street rehabilitation citywide. The City of Sacramento has asked for $2.248 million in corridor improvement citywide, and Sacramento County has asked for $2.902 million in street rehabilitation countywide. That will be augmented by the $380,000 from the City of Citrus Heights and the $5,000 from the City of Isleton. So with that, Mr. Chairman, staff recommends that the authority approve a Sacramento County application for SB1 Cycle 3 Local Partnership Program formula shares for the projects and amounts that I have discussed and shown in the agenda packet, and 2, authorize the executive director to enter into any agreements with implementing agencies and or the California Transportation Commission necessary to complete and submit the application to the CTC.
Okay, thank you, Director Kempton. Are there any questions? Yeah. Director Hall?
No.
All I can tell you, Director Howell, is that what I mentioned earlier, that Stephen Keck, the Chief Financial Officer, said yesterday at yesterday's commission meeting that they anticipated a decline in all state revenues of about $1.5 billion over 2 years. However, these funds for the local partnership program are continuously appropriated. And the other feature is that currently the state's accounts, including the rehabilitation and maintenance account that holds these funds, are healthy and should be able to withstand you know, a significant reduction, at least for the time being. So I don't believe these funds will be affected. And the other piece of this is that all of our projects, all of the city and county applications here have asked for money during the first year of the program, when there will be more money. And the commission has said that they will honor those requests. And by the way, that's one correction on the list of projects that you have here. We showed the final county project as being delivered in 21-22, and it's actually 2021. So all of the projects that we're nominating would be funded in that first year, and the commission says if the money's available, they will fund the projects in that first year.
Okay, any other questions from the board members?
If there are no questions, I would move approval of the Sacramento County application.
Okay, thank you, Director Peters.
I'll say, and authorize the executive director to enter into any necessary agreements with CTC.
Okay, I have a motion from Director Peters and a second from, who did I hear?
Howell.
Director Howell?
Howell was first.
Okay, and before we do that, is any public comment
No, we
coming
did
in on
not.
that? Okay, no public comment. Roll call vote, please.
Directors Frost? Gatewood? Guida? Hanson? Harris? Howe? Hume? Kennedy? Miller? Natoli? Peters?
Aye.
Sandhu? Chenier? Cerna? Steinberg? And Suen.
Aye.
Thank you. Your motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 13, introduction of Senate Bill 1, Cycle 3, Local Partnership Program Competitive Project Nominations. Director Kempton.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I go into this item, which is our last item for the day, I did want to express my sincere appreciation to our professional advisory group, specifically the Public Works people who serve on that organization, for all of their hard work and input on a variety of the issues that you've taken up today. This business of the Cycle 3 of the Local Partnership Program is not easy. There's a lot of work involved, and all of the Public Works staff and the implementing agencies that have requested funding have provided the information with very little complaint, and I really appreciate their support and cooperation. So for Cycle 3, just over $187 million is available statewide for the competitive source of funding, and projects funded from the competitive program require at least a one-to-one match of private, local, federal, or state funds, and the program will only fund the construction component of a capital project. So to help ensure an equitable competition, the CTC compares projects based on the population of jurisdictions across which the tax or fee is applied. Sacramento County falls in Category 1, which is the top category, the largest category, so we're competing with all of the larger counties. For entities with a population greater than 1.5 million people. The minimum request for the Local Partnership Competitive Program funds for this category is $5 million, and the maximum is $25 million per project. The authority will be considered the applicant for this program, with local jurisdictions who apply serving as the implementing agencies. an applicant submitting multiple project nominations, which will be the Sacramento Transportation Authority, must prioritize its projects prior to submitting those nominations, and that will be done at the June meeting, and will follow the same process that was employed for Cycle 2, which I understand went very, very smoothly. The STA project applications and priorities are due to the CTC no later than June 30th. Just to remind you, during Cycle 2 of this program in 2017-2018, Sacramento County did quite well, with 2 of our 6 project nominations being funded, $5 million for the City of Sacramento Downtown Grid 3.0 implementation project, and $20 million for the Capital Southeast Connector. So all we're looking to do today is to have project sponsors, those implementing agencies that have nominated projects, make a brief presentation to you. They've all been instructed to keep their presentation short, but there is a PowerPoint that they will go through, we're going to start. Well, I'll just tell you that the candidates are Sacramento Regional Transit for the Sacramento Valley Station Loop project. They're requesting $10 million. City of Elk Grove has the Camera Road Complete Reconstruction Project at $5 million. City of Rancho Cordova has the White Rock Road Safety and Congestion Relief Program at $13,250,000. The County of Sacramento has 2 projects. The first, Alberta Road Improvement Project, Dutch Haven Boulevard to Watt Avenue for $5.5 million. And the South Watt Avenue Improvement Project, Florin Road to Jackson Road at $13.277 million. So if I could ask Joel Borja to come to the microphone and make a brief presentation on the Sacramento Valley Station Loop project.
Hi, Joe Phil.
Good afternoon, Chair Soon, members, Director Kempton, Madam Vice Chair, and hardworking staff at the STA Board, and everybody else on the cloud watching me today as I try to match my face mask with my pocket square. As Director Kempton mentioned, the LPP program ran by the CTC.
I'm sorry, the mask, we can't tell who you are.
Oh,
so
I
if you
apologize.
Would just tell us your name.
Sorry.
You
Good
don't have to
afternoon,
take
everybody.
your mask off, just tell us who you are.
My name is Joe Philbora. I represent Sacramento Regional Transit today, and we are at nominating our LPP competitive project for the SPS Loop. Thank you. All right, mask back on. As Director Kempton had mentioned, and as I've done before as a former CTC staff, these are highly competitive projects on an overly subscribed program. So as I am addressing the board today, I'd like for you to recognize that the projects that you're considering for nomination must not only compete well on a statewide level, but must hit all of the points that have been directed by the CTC on their guidelines. The Sacramento Valley Loop Station is a project by SACRT in partnership with the city, as well as Caltrans and SACOG. This, specifically for this component, we are looking to double track the existing light rail system on H Street and 7th Street, as well as realign SACRT's SVS light rail station, as well as purchase 7 new low floor light rail vehicles. This is the existing section that we are proposing, and this would be on the section on the green, as you can see on your screen, would be the section that we are going to be double tracking. The realignment of the section is also viewed here. As you can see, there's the intercity rail platforms in the North Rail Yards right now, and the planned growth that's going to be happening in that section of the city, as well as the current lines that SACRT have for their light rail. Now, we'd like to point out to you the project benefits and how this project's meeting the CTC guidelines. We are highly considerate of the VMT and congestion reduction that we've used using the State Resources Board quantification methodology tool. So there's going to be a lot of millions of vehicle miles traveled reducing congestion addressed. GHG reduction that meets the STS and MTS and goals of SACOG of the region will also be met, as well as deliverability, the one-to-one match that SACRT is going to be presenting, as well as the project being able to be phased out for ensuring deliverability. Also, we have looked at this project because it will identify economic development and job creation. Thousands of jobs will be happening and are expected in the planned growth in the rail yards, let alone the construction of this project. as well as system improvements for reliability, safety, and access. Are metrics that all were identified by CTC and have been looked at by SACRT staff. Not only are we improving the 15-minute service and transit ridership between SBS and Township 9, but we're also going to be looking at the safety and overall improvement of light rail modernization within SACRT's district throughout the region. So the total project costs, we're asking for the total project costs $133 million. However, our competitive request, which we are providing a one-to-one match, is $10 million. And for the future funds, we are also going to be applying for other funds offered by the state as well as CalSTA. I would like to include that this project was recently submitted for the Transit Intercity Rail Capital Program project, and although it was not fully funded, it scored particularly well, and that we communicated with CalSTA that this is a project that they're looking forward to resubmitting in the future. And so for your consideration, $10 million, and happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Joe Phil? Mr. Bora? Any questions? Okay, not hearing any.
Next,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe, and thanks for staying within the time frame. Next up is Kevin Busey, the City of Elk Grove Capital Program Division Manager. Kevin?
Hi, Kevin.
Hey there. Thank you. See if I can.
Next presentation, please. Okay.
Kevin Busey, Capital Program Manager, City of Elk Grove. I'm here to present the city's competitive application for the 2020 Local Partnership Program, the Camera Road Complete Reconstruction from Bruceville Road to Lent Ranch Parkway. The project is located in the southern part of Elk Grove, with half in the city, half in the county of Sacramento. It is shown in red. It is primarily near the interchange of State Route 99, Grant Line, and Camera. You can see that is the existing condition of the existing road. The plan is to reconstruct 2.5 miles of the existing Camera Road. That would be all of the Camera Road that needs to be reconstructed. So it would be, the entire road would be brand new. It would be a 2-lane divided road with shoulders and Class 3 bikeway, as well as a median and two-way left turn lanes. Two-way left turn lanes are needed in certain areas to improve agricultural access. So this is the project limits. Again, I want to talk a little bit about the funding. So in the 2018 round, we received about $3 million for that section in yellow. And we're looking for another $5 million for the section in red so we can do the complete whole project in one shot. From a competitive criteria standpoint, we feel it's a very, very cost effective because we're able to combine two separate projects into one project and build them all at once. So there's an economy of scale. From a deliverability standpoint, we're in a really good position because we've already completed sequel. We've made all the right-of-way offers, and we actually have closed a lot of right-of-way. From a leveraging fund standpoint, we've got the existing LPP funds that we have that we can leverage for the project, as well as our own local dollars. And from air quality, GHG, VMT standpoint, we are going to be adding these 6-foot wide Class 3 bikeways in each direction to help address that. From regional community support, we've got, we're included in the existing Measure A. We've also done a lot of outreach for this particular project. And from a regional local plan standpoint, this is included in the 2020 MTP SCS. The two big ones for this one are safety. Right now, there's really not much of a shoulder, as you see from the photo, and non-standard lane widths. And so when we widen this out to meet current standards, the overall safety on Camera Road is going to be greatly improved. There's also a system, from a system preservation standpoint, the existing road's got a pavement condition of about 60, and it would really improve with full reconstruction. Here's the schedule for the project. So environmental document was done in 2018, right-of-way should completed in December, and we'd be advertising this in January of 2021. So like I said before, we're going to be very construction ready. Construction could start as early as spring of 2021. Here's an overview of the total project cost. And we're really only asking for about $5 million in LPP funds with this application. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Great. Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Busey? Hearing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Chairman, is Albert Stricker, the Public Works Director for the City of Rancho Cordova.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Albert Stricker with the Public Works Department of City of Rancho Cordova. And I believe we have a slides presentation coming up. I appreciate the opportunity to present to the board this afternoon the White Rock Road Safety and Congestion Relief Project. And that is our proposal for the local partnership program in 2020. The project is located just south of US 50, paralleling US 50. It's about a three mile section. To the west of White Rock Road is Sunrise Boulevard and over 70,000 jobs within the city of Rancho Cordova. To the east of this 3 mile segment of White Rock Road, growing communities in the city of Folsom, County of Sacramento, and beyond in El Dorado County. Importantly, to the north and south of this project are the proposed communities of Rio del Oro and Westboro within the city of Rancho Cordova, which will eventually house over 19,000 homes, including affordable housing, and would have a significant impact on the jobs housing imbalance. Existing conditions within White Rock Road. The existing alignment has no shoulders. It's a 2-lane road with blind curves, little to no bicycle or pedestrian opportunities. It's a crumbling road surface, and it's a source of accidents and fatalities. Critical challenges, in addition to those that I've mentioned, the inadequate infrastructure increases load on already congested US 50, increases greenhouse gases and delays, and reduces quality of life. The inadequate roadway also inhibits development of affordable housing and economic development in proposed developments on either side of the road. And this is an impediment to jobs housing balance, economic development, and connected communities. There are significant opportunities associated with White Rock Road. As I'd mentioned, Rancho Cordova is over 70,000 jobs. Businesses select Rancho Cordova due to the quality of office space in Rancho Cordova, the centralized location, location above the floodplain, and amenities in the city. White Rock Road serves jobs including but not limited to high-tech, medicine, manufacturing, and construction. And I mentioned the 19,000 homes proposed, which can affect the jobs housing balance. Improvements proposed for White Rock Road include 4 lanes, a new signal at Rancho Cordova Parkway, fiber optic connection back to City Hall, Class 2 bike lanes, and a raised median. The improvements are very similar to those previously completed along alignments of the connector just east of the White Rock and Grant Line intersection, and those underway east of there. For the funding request, this is an approximately $35 million project. The LPP request is $13.25 million. The city is bringing a lot of leverage to this funding request, matching funds over $21 million, including $8.5 million in federal funds and $13.25 million in local funds. This project has all of our approvals. The project is shovel-ready. If we receive this funding, it would go into the ground to benefit the community starting right away in 2021. This project is a catalyst to economic development, especially bringing affordable housing and balancing jobs and housing. It relieves congestion. And importantly, this is a natural extension of previously approved projects and projects underway. And with that, I would open it up to any questions. I appreciate the opportunity to present to the board. I'd also like to offer you the opportunity, if you're interested in a tour of the alignment to better see the conditions, I'd be happy to provide that as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Albert.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and members, the last presenter is Rick Carter with the County Department of Transportation, and he will be presenting 2 projects, so he'll be extended a little more time to complete his presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, board members. Rick Carter with Sacramento County Department of Transportation. The first project is the Southwest project. The limits are between Jackson Highway and Florin Road. It's a major north-south corridor in the county, starting down in Elk Grove and going well north of 80. This project, this section provides a little bit of parallel capacity to Highway 99, especially for destinations east of downtown. The project limits are along the border of the city of Sacramento and the unincorporated county. About a quarter of the project right-of-way is actually within the city. This corridor is currently at 160% of capacity. It operates at level of service F. It lacks continuous sidewalks and continuous bike lanes, and there have been 99 accidents, including 3 fatalities over a 5-year period. So our objectives are to solve those problems, to reduce the existing and future congestion, support those alternate modes, and improve safety. It's a 3-mile section. We're adding 2 new lanes, raised median, continuous buffered bike lanes and sidewalks. Project will also upgrade 5 signals, replace a bridge, and upgrade a railroad crossing. This graphic shows the top 2 slides are the improved area to the north that go all the way up to Highway 50. The bottom slide shows the existing conditions. You can see it's a 2-lane road. There are no sidewalks. There's no buffered bike lanes. There's no bike lanes through the intersection. You can see the congestion that's common there. The final product will look fairly similar to the top slide, except it'll be a 4-lane road instead of 6, and have buffered bike lanes. This graphic shows on the left is the bottom 2 miles, the bottom 2 of the 3 miles. The top picture is the Morison Creek Bridge that needs to be replaced to widen to have kind of current safety features into it. You can also see in that picture the poor pavement condition. Within the project limits, the PCI ranges between a low of 29 and a high of 52. The pavement's in rather poor condition. One of the benefits of this project is that it will rehabilitate the pavement throughout the whole corridor. For the city of Sacramento, that's a savings of probably $3 to $4 million in rehab costs, in the county closer to $10 million. The middle picture shows the railroad crossing to be upgraded. The bottom picture is again another slide of the current conditions. No sidewalks, no buffered bike lanes, no median, heavy traffic. The project, as I mentioned, will include upgrading 5 signalized intersections. They'll have crosswalks, full ADA upgrades, bike lanes and bike detection through the intersections. They'll also have bus turnouts constructed to support the future planned transit service that's identified by both RT and SACOG and the county general plan. Really quickly to go through the evaluation criteria, has a benefit cost analysis looking at the grant funds of 6.6, well over the 1.0. There's good regional and community support. The Power In Alliance has provided a letter of support that's in the nomination package. The Power In Alliance represents 1,100 businesses in that area. The project has been through CEQA already. We're looking for construction in 2023. The grant ask is about $13.3 million. We are matched with that with $21.8 million, so well over the 1-to-1 match. There are air quality improvements, reductions in ozone PM10, and reductions in VMT. The project furthers the MTP policy 4, looking to build and maintain safe, resilient, and multimodal transportation system. The bullets have sort of covered, except for the bottom one. The project happens to be in a low-income community, so there's benefits to the residents there. I briefly touched on safety benefits for this project. It's been 99 collisions in a 5-year period, 3 fatalities, 158 injuries. So many of the improvements going in will directly address those. There were 11 head-on accidents that the medians will help resolve. The added lanes, signal improvements help with a variety of the other accidents. Buffered bike lanes and sidewalks will provide some safe space for the alternate mode users. That section of road does not have complete street lighting. It will at the end of this project. That's another benefit. And again, the railroad crossing and bridge will be upgraded to current standards. Kind of the final slide on this section, this project will improve air quality, support mode choice, improve the safety for all users. It will rehabilitate the pavement through that section. It also will help reduce the housing shortage by supporting the approved developments that are in that south part of the county and provide economic benefits to the businesses on that corridor. I can answer any questions before I go to the next project.
Any questions for Mr. Carter? I have a question. Could you go back a couple slides to your plan view? Yeah, one more. Were there any consideration to doing roundabouts in any of these areas?
They were...
These intersections?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
they were laid out as signalized intersections. The CEQA was before my time, so I don't know if that was a consideration for it or not, but they're approved as signalized intersections.
Okay, it was before, yeah.
The speed's probably too high.
Okay, thank you, just wondering.
Yeah.
So if there are no other questions, the second project is the Alberta Road project. The section is between Watt Avenue and Dutch Haven. The project is a rural section of road between kind of urban development on both ends. It also operates at level service F, and it lacks bike lanes and sidewalks, and there have been 36 accidents over a 5-year period. Again, the objectives are to reduce the existing and future congestion, improve the safety on the corridor, and support alternate modes. It's a 0.9 mile section. We'll add 2 lanes, median, class 2 bike lanes. There's a bridge that will be replaced that sits in the floodplain now, so it'll come out of the floodplain, and it gets both equestrian and pedestrian facilities, and we will upgrade the signal at 28th Street. These photos show, the top 2 photos show the sort of urban conditions at either end of the road. The bottom left photo shows Dray Creek Bridge that will be replaced and widened. You can clearly see it does not support bicycles, pedestrians, and certainly not equestrians. There's an equestrian trail on the north side of this road that they're diverted through the creek, and it will upgrade that signal. It's a typical section of the road, 2 lanes, bicycle lanes. It does not show the equestrian trail that is off the road. The project will include some sidewalk work, including the work on the bridges and approach to the bridge. The complete sidewalks are not included in the project because they are conditions of approval on some of the adjacent planned development that's there. One of those already has an agreement with the county and is looking to build very soon. In terms of evaluation criteria, again, this project has been through CEQA and NEPA. It has public support. The project is going to construction in under 2 years. The grant request is $5.5 million with $12.6 in matching funds, so it's well over the 1-to-1 match. There are air quality improvements, reductions in emissions and VMT. The project furthers that same SACOG Policy 4, looking at safe, resilient, and multimodal transportation. The eastern half of this project is in a low-income community, everything east of 28th Street. In terms of safety benefits, I mentioned the 38 collisions, 2 of those involving bicyclists. The median work, the added turn lanes, the bike lanes will help address those accidents. The bridge replacement is a big benefit for both pedestrians and the equestrians. 15 of those accidents were actually at the signalized intersection, so we can address a number of those issues there. My final slide, again, this project will help improve air quality. We'll add bike lanes. It'll address the traffic safety, pavement rehabilitation, and will also help support housing shortage as it will support the development that's in the area. And I'm happy to answer any questions on this project.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Carter? Hearing none, I think that's it.
Thank you, and thanks to the presenters for staying reasonably within the time limits. This is a non-action item today. It's just the presentation to introduce you to these projects. For the June meeting, we will bring back additional information and we'll ask you to prioritize these projects. There was a process that was employed as part of Cycle 2 that I understand went very well. We're going to try to duplicate that process for the board to be able to make a priority determination relative to the projects. Again, the commission is not obligated to follow the priorities that we submit in terms of the nominations, but it's a good indication of what has the largest amount of community support, which is important for this program as well. So with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes the business that staff had presented for this meeting, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kempton. If you have any questions, or did I see something from, yes, Madam Clerk?
Your last item was just your comments from your authority members.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yep. I wanted to reach out to any authority members if there's any comments. Okay, hearing none. Stay safe, everybody. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.